Squidward Tentacles is on trial. Yes, a cartoon squid facing real courtroom drama. And no, it's not for hoarding Krabby Patties in a secret vault. He's accused of relentless sarcasm and bullying SpongeBob and Patrick at the Krusty Krab. Do you think his constant grumpiness and grumpy stares qualify as workplace harassment? Or is it just underwater comedy chaos? Let's jump in and dive into the bottom of the ocean for a while.
My wondrous paintings!
Squidward spent his life perfecting sarcasm like it was an extreme sport, training every sigh, groan, and eyebrow twitch to Olympic precision. His eyes flicked faster than a microwave on turbo. His voice groaned like someone surviving 10 consecutive Mondays. And his patience vanished the moment SpongeBob bounced in, bursting enough energy to power Bikini Bottom's entire jellyfish migration and probably give your grandma a heart attack. SpongeBob greeted each morning like he had won a lifetime supply of Krabby Patties, while Squidward acted like he'd been sentenced to peel onions forever without gloves, coffee, or any hope of happiness. The Krusty Krab turned into a gladiator arena of relentless joy versus pure squid-level misery. In Employee of the Month, Squidward doesn't just roll his eyes. He delivers insults with the precision of a stand-up comic who lost the crowd in 1995 and refuses to leave the stage. Oh my. Squidward spent the entire day perfecting eye rolls, sighs, and sarcasm. Skills he treated like full-time employment with benefits he never shared. SpongeBob bounced in with endless cheer, like every second deserved a musical number. And Squidward, he reacted as if someone asked him to wrestle a jellyfish while balancing the Krusty Krab budget on a unicycle. Let me tell you, if sarcasm were an Olympic sport, our boy Squidward wouldn't just take gold. No, he'd issue a detailed performance critique to the silver medalist and then complained about the trophy. You know him already. Every quip he delivered hit with PhD-level precision, targeting SpongeBob like a permanent bullseye. And by the time SpongeBob flipped his 50th patty, Squidward's aura had sucked all optimism from the room, leaving it so thin you could bottle it as despair air. Even the fries considered unionizing.
I already told you that award is a bunch of baloney!
Such negative actions are obvious, deliberate, and ongoing. Like, repeated mistreatment could lead to formal warnings, coaching sessions, mandatory communication training, or even suspension. Even in extreme or persistent cases, there could be financial consequences under workplace safety and anti-bullying rules.
I'm telling you for the last time, that award is nothing but a joke!
Squidward's constant sarcasm, eye rolls, and side-eyed insults, while hilarious on screen, basically turned the Krusty Krab into a full-blown hostile workplace simulator. Squidward can turn the Krusty Krab into a disaster zone without lifting a tentacle. Every sigh drags the air down, every eye roll crushes morale, and his sarcasm slices through the room sharper than a chef's knife. And SpongeBob? He floods the kitchen with non-stop cheer, flipping patties like each one holds the secret to happiness, while Squidward treats every moment like a one-squid roast competition. If HR existed in Bikini Bottom, Squidward wouldn't just get a warning, he'd probably get a full-blown eviction notice from the workplace. Now, let's imagine for a second a real office. Squidward showing up on time while avoiding effort, mocking coworkers, and dodging responsibility. That, my friends, could trigger fines, coaching, or even mandatory trust falls with the guy who invented bubble soap. And I bet the fines alone could buy SpongeBob a lifetime supply of spatulas. But here at the Krusty Krab, it is completely normal. The restaurant runs like a chaotic circus, with SpongeBob holding it together while Squidward delivers free eye rolls with every order and a side of silent judgment. Every sigh, hit like a weight. Every glare, instant morale drain. While SpongeBob's endless cheer sparkled life around like a flashlight in a cave of gloom, it is like watching someone try to run a city on a single flickering candle while the fuse had already blown.
To have slither down my throat, and I curse this!
If this were a real workplace, Squidward's non-stop negativity would trigger HR alarms, warnings, fines, mandatory counseling, or even a giant "Do Not Disturb" sign on his office. Instead, the Krusty Krab functioned as a sad little circus, with SpongeBob desperately holding it together while Squidward ruled as the grumpy ringleader. Every dropped plate, crooked tray, or minor mishap became fodder for dramatic sighs and relentless sarcasm, turning a simple shift into an endurance test of patience and emotional armor. In pizza delivery, Squidward turned what should have been a simple errand into pure chaos. From the very first second, he refused to lift a finger, dumping every little task on SpongeBob like laziness was a personal superpower he had spent years perfecting. What should have been a quick pizza run became a wild ride of frustration, tiny disasters, and quiet screams that only the ocean could hear. Every step of the way, his complaints filled the air like a broken car alarm, and every small mistake earned a sigh so dramatic it could have starred in a soap opera. Teamwork didn't just vanish, it ran for cover. Squidward sprayed sarcasm, blame, and eye rolls like a chef tossing seasoning on a Krabby Patty, except it made everything far less tasty. By the time they reach the customer, it's less, "Here's your pizza," and more, "Congratulations, you survived Squidward's wrath."
Another one? Look, I told you, little friend, I ain't paying for that!
If Squidward pulled this kind of stunt at a real job, the whole place would implode faster than a stack of greasy Krabby Patties left in the sun. Customers would storm in with complaints so loud they'd echo to the next town. Coworkers would collapse from sigh fatigue, productivity would vanish, and teamwork, well, this one would self-destruct like poorly stacked sushi, leaving poor SpongeBob basically surviving each shift, and every simple task would spiral into a full-blown disaster movie. Trust me, it is like one squid's attitude could poison an entire ocean faster than a spilled cup of hot coffee on a Monday morning. That could leave the poor guys from HR hiding under desks, shaking while muttering prayers to the universe.
Ain't paying for that!
Well, this one's on the...
Did he change his mind?
Squidward occasionally defended SpongeBob, almost like 1 or 0 moments. Seriously, those moments were rarer than a jellyfish with a corporate job. Honestly, most of the time his attitude sucked all the energy out of the room like a vacuum on apocalypse mode. And by the time a shift ended, the Krusty Krab felt less like a restaurant and more like a stinkhole of suffering. Then came Squidville, a town of neighbors equally grumpy. Finally, quiet and order. For once, he had peace, almost like a spa day for his soul. But even in paradise, in a town of perfect grumpy squids, he's still Squidward, angry at his own peaceful neighbors. So, there you have it. Even in a town of perfect grumpy squids, he still finds someone breathing wrong and gives them the stink eye of doom. I know. For sure some fans brush this off as mere grumpiness, but Squidward has it for everyone. Like he spreads it to Patrick, Mr. Krabs, and unlucky customers alike. His sighs could probably trigger a small earthquake, and his insults land like anvils from old cartoons.
I'm going to bury that bunny!
At this point, I'm starting to think the Krusty Krab should offer mood insurance with every meal and every customer gets a free side of attitude with their Krabby Patty. Squidward's fury ignited the moment he realized no other squid could match his unparalleled misery. His sights ripped through the Krusty Krab like a tornado. In the meantime, there's SpongeBob, darting around like a caffeinated lightning bolt, trying to keep the chaos from swallowing the kitchen whole. In real office, Squidward would be a bye-bye compadre. Here, it is normal, but definitely it's a lesson in how toxic energy can travel faster than a fired Krabby Patty. In Squilliam Returns proves Squidward's ultimate flaw, jealousy. Yes, Squidward collapsed when his rival flaunted a life he could never match. Like if Squilliam had more money, better style, and a clarinet that actually made music.
You little wooden fiend! Stop stealing my life!
Then Squidward acted like he ruled the Krusty Krab, dumping every impossible task onto SpongeBob. Of course, the kitchen became a pressure cooker. And you know our buddy SpongeBob running from table to table, juggling patties, dishes, all he's capable of, while the rest of the crew wisely stayed out of the way. SpongeBob is basically a solo cleanup crew, dodging sarcasm like dodgeball champions dodging elbows. Luckily, SpongeBob seems to keep smiling like a golden retriever on espresso. Honestly, SpongeBob deserves a medal, or at least a helmet for emotional protection. I did notice that management is missing because it also plays a key role in sustaining workplace dynamics. You know how Mr. Krabs routinely overlooks Squidward's behavior, focusing entirely on profits. In professional workplaces, such behavior is a no-no. And who's next? Squidward's bitterness ran deeper than bad service. Check, please, and no tip for you, mister. Like, he considers himself a genius trapped behind a cash register, and by the time SpongeBob bounces around the kitchen, Squidward's grumpy aura has already drained 50% of the air from the room. Optimism doesn't just leave, it packs a suitcase and calls a cab. And SpongeBob's relentless optimism seems like a tiny flame flickering in a hurricane of Squidward's misery. By the end, the Krusty Krab was no longer a diner, but a stage for Squidward's misery. No wonder SpongeBob cries like a river when Squidward's sarcasm poisons every corner.
Stop stealing my life!
Squidward's gloom hit the Krusty Krab like a tidal wave. His sarcasm poisoned every corner while SpongeBob scrambled, flipping patties and surviving sighs heavy enough to collapse the ceiling. Tiny mistakes triggered eye rolls and verbal jabs sharp enough to cut morale. Attempts at kindness vanished instantly. Instead, it is replaced by complaints stacked higher than the freezer. Phew! By closing time, the Krusty Krab felt like a gladiator arena. Imagine for a second SpongeBob entering Krusty Krab for his shift and saying, "We who are about to die salute you." Oh boy, only SpongeBob's relentless optimism kept anyone sane. Each Krabby Patty came with a free side of existential despair and thick, inescapable tension. So before we wrap up, let's silly tally Squidward's chaos, shall we? Employee of the Month antics, $5,000. Creating a hostile environment, $10 million. Avoiding teamwork, $700,000. Ruining a pizza delivery, $3,000. And ignoring all of it like a boss, $5,000. That brings the total to a staggering $1,013 million. Definitely more than the Krusty Krab makes in all seasons together. And yet, Squidward still manages to show up on time. That has to be a good side of him. Squidward may escape legal charges, yet his actions show the real impact of workplace bullying. Is Squidward misunderstood or truly toxic? Share your thoughts, like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more deep dives.